Hola estudiantes, hola, ¿qué tal? ¿Cómo están? Bien, y estamos ya en la clase número 7, ¿sí? ¿Y qué vamos a hacer en la clase número 7? En la clase número 7 trabajamos con los adjetivos posesivos, possessive adjectives. And I think that you're pretty familiar with some of them. For example, mi nombre, mi libro, ¿verdad? Mi madre, mi, ¿verdad? Am I is a possessive adjective. Okay? Now, if the thing that I possess, if the thing that I possess is plural, then I cannot use me. I have to use mis with an S at the end, okay? Mis libros, mis profesores, mis estudiantes son inteligentes, ¿sí? Mis. The same thing is going to be with tú. Mi libro, tu libro. Mi amiga, tu amiga. Mi nombre, tu nombre. ¿Sí? And we are going to add the S if the thing that the person possesses is more than one, it's plural. Okay? Tus libros, tus amigos, tus clases, etc., etc. Now, if we want to talk about the possessions of a third person, like él, ella, o usted, we're going to say su, su, su libro, sus libros. Also, if we are talking about the possessions of ellos, ellas, y ustedes, then we are going to use the same word, su or sus. As you can see here, we have 6 options, ¿verdad? For the possessor. So to avoid confusion, instead of saying su libro, ¿verdad? Unless we both know that we're talking about Pedro or Maria, then to avoid those confusions, we say el libro de María. Okay? El libro, the item that is possessed. And then we use de, like yo soy de Nueva York, de, from, in this case, of. And then we mention the possessor. Okay, so the possessor is going to be at the end. El libro de María. That's in the case of él, ella, usted, ellos, ellas, ¿verdad? And ustedes, when they are the possessors. Okay? And then finally, I want to talk about the, the version of our, ¿verdad? So nosotros, we are the possessors. Nosotros, right? Um, and to express a possession, then I need to use, instead of me, I have to use nuestro o nuestra o nuestros o nuestras. Again, let me use the singular form, which is I, ¿verdad? Yo, ¿verdad? I am the possessor. So I'm going to say mi libro, my book, right? Now, nosotros. Nosotros is the possessor. So I'm going to say nuestro libro. Instead of mi libro, nuestro libro, our book. Okay? If the item that is possessed is feminine, then I cannot use nuestro. I have to use nuestra. Por ejemplo, profesora. I can say mi profesora, my professor. Or I can say nuestra profesora, our professor, nuestra profesora. If profesora becomes plural, then I have to say nuestras profesoras. Okay, so that's about the possessive adjective. Be acquainted with my book, your book. Okay, and then we move on to los verbos. Here in this section, we're going to learn two more groups. In total, in Spanish, we have three groups, AR, and then ER and IR. So today we'll learn about ER and IR. Now, let me tell you, if you learned how to conjugate verbs from the AR verbs, from the AR group, then the ER and IR are going to be pretty simple. Why? Because they follow a pattern. So take a look, find the pattern, pay attention to the pattern, and learn the pattern. Okay. So, with, for example, hablar, we learned that the ending AR is eliminated, and then instead we plug in the O. We use an O, and then instead of hablar, when I do the action, we say yo hablo. So guess what? 99% of the time, that will be the ending when I am the doer, okay? When I do the action. So yo hablo, yo trabajo, yo estudio, yo viajo, ¿verdad? Y yo tomo clases. Now we are going to learn new verbs. Comer, which is to eat. So I'm going to say yo como, ¿sí? Beber, yo bebo. Deber, I must do something. Yo debo, ¿verdad? I must. Yo debo estudiar. Leer, which is to read, leer. Yo leo, like Leo, your friend Leo. Leo, yo leo en español. Comprender, to understand, comprehend, ¿verdad? Yo comprendo. Then we are going to learn IR verbs like vivir, again, the same thing. Yo vivo. Escribir, to write. Yo escribo. Describir, totally similar. Describir is to describe. Yo describo. Asistir, to attend, ¿verdad? Yo asisto. Y decidir, I decide. Yo decido. Now, instead of using a like hablas, habla, hablamos at the end, here we are going to be using y. Tú comes, él come, nosotros comemos, ustedes comen y, right? And you're going to notice if you know ER, basically, you know IR because it's the same with the exception of the de nosotros form and the vosotros form. But the other ones are pretty similar, okay? Bien, and that's about the verbs. Important questions that you should know. ¿Comes en un restaurante? ¿Escribes mucho? ¿Lees todos los días? Remember, I'm asking you the question, so I'm using the tú form. When you reply to those questions, then you have to use the yo form. Yo leo, no, yo no leo. ¿Escribes? No, yo no escribo mucho. ¿Sí? Entonces, I want to pay attention to two verbs desear, which is to wish, y deber, which is must. I must do something, right? And when we see them, we have to think about a construction, a special construction. We're going to have the verb conjugated, and then immediately after that, I'm going to use a non-conjugated verb, right? In the verb in the basic form, basically explaining what I'm wishing for or what I must do. Okay? So the action that I wish for or the action that I must do. ¿Sí? So, por ejemplo, yo deseo comer. That's my wish, to eat, ¿verdad? Yo deseo comer. Or yo debo comer. Yo debo comer. Remember, deber or desear, those are the verbs that are going to be conjugated within this construction. Okay, the next one is going to remain in the infinitive form. See? Bien. And the last topic for today is the verb tener. We already learned tengo and tienes. So it's a matter of paying attention to the patterns. Okay. So yo tengo, tú tienes. Él, Pedro, o María, ella, ¿verdad? María tiene, without the S. María tiene 20 años. Mi madre tiene 50 años. And then finding the other conjugations. For example, for the nosotros. Nosotros tenemos. Ellos o ellas tienen 20 años. Ellos o ellas tienen 15 años. So we're going to be using tener again to express our age and to express our possessions. Okay? So yo tengo un libro. Yo tengo una computadora. ¿Sí? And guess what? If you know how to conjugate the verb tener, then you know how to conjugate the verb venir, which is to come. Vengo. Because instead of a T, you're going to use a V. So instead of tengo, you're going to say vengo with a V. Vengo, vienes, viene, venimos, venís y vienen. Okay, venir is to come. ¿A qué hora vienes a la universidad? Vengo a las 2 de la tarde. ¿Cuándo vienes a la clase? Vengo por la tarde. ¿Y con quién vienes? Vengo con mis amigos. Bien, estudiantes. So this is it for today. Again, if you have questions, you can email me and take advantage of the tutoring center, which is basically done online. ¿Sí? Bien, hasta luego. Chao.